We're here with Brett Reed, the coach of the defending Patriot League champion Lehigh Mountain Hawks. How does that defending Patriot League champion, how do you like having that on your shoulders? Is that a blessing or a curse?
No, I think it's a great thing. Obviously, it's a testament to the hard work, effort, and unselfishness that our team exhibited this last year. For us to go on and win a championship, I think is really telltale about the type of investment that each of those individuals made into trying to do something collectively. Now, as we head into a new year, there's new challenges, obviously, with that as part of our background. But it also is a major advantage from where we were a year before because we established a championship culture. And we were able to do it with buy-in from every player on last year's team to care about each other, to be very unselfish, to pay attention to the small details and how important those can be. So everyone's had an experience and they've had a taste of it to some degree. It's just a matter of making sure that we continue to promote and enhance what we established as a culture.
Now, the recent trend in the league has been for the defending champions to be heavily favored in next year. We've had a lot of two-year runs, but you guys don't come into the season as the favorite in most people's eyes. A lot of people looking across the valley at your arch rivals at Lafayette. A couple of other schools get mentioned ahead of you a lot of times. Does that take some of the pressure off of your kids?
I don't necessarily think so because those preseason polls don't really mean a great deal. I don't know how accurate they've been over the 9 years going into this season that I've been at Lehigh. There's so much unknown. You're dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds, and you're dealing with their personal development, their basketball development, their academic development, how they handle all those responsibilities. So there's so many factors that can go into it. Now, I think the most telltale thing from the preseason polling and everything is the parity that is expected. And if you're a college basketball fan, you can't ask for much more than that because it's exciting. Every game matters. It's very important, and you have all these young men that are pursuing their passion and putting everything out on the line on any given night in the Patriot League season.
Let's be honest, the last few years, parity in the Patriot League has kind of been synonymous with mediocrity in the league. It's not been a case of necessarily the bottom teams rising up to join the teams that have traditionally been at the top. It's been more of a thickening in the middle or a little bit more of a sinking, it seems. This year, looks like the potential is for that trend to reverse. It looks like everybody is genuinely stronger top to bottom in the league. Is that how you see it?
Well, it's interesting. This year we celebrate the 20th anniversary of the Patriot League being formed. And when I first arrived here, the quality of basketball is nowhere near where it is now. So although we have the perspective that sometimes things have melded in the middle, it's actually been an exponential growth as far as the league and the league talent. And then obviously within that, there's been some leveling off of teams being able to compete against each other. Part of that is the tremendous game plans that are put forward by coaching staffs as well to be able to neutralize some of the strengths of individual talents or collective teams. I think as we move forward in this year, the talent level is better. It continues to improve. And because of that, the overall league recognition, I think, could be higher from top to bottom, where it provides that type of competitive atmosphere. But I think from a historical perspective, it's important to note, especially with the proliferation of multiple teams getting better, the profile of the league has gotten stronger as well, in my opinion.
Tell us about your team this year, CJ and the other four. That's the way a lot of people are looking at it. How different will it be for him being the guy? It kind of became that by the end of last year anyhow, but he still had two awfully good seniors there to kind of lean on. How does that change for him, and how does the rest of the team have to step up to play around him?
Well, I think it's a unique dynamic because he is so talented that he has the opportunity to really almost carry a team at times, and it'll provide new challenges for him and for our team as we balance out some of those responsibilities as everybody game planning for him and taking their chances with some of the other guys. Now, the interesting thing is, you mentioned CJ and the other four. I don't know if that's necessarily a byproduct of the lack of talent from the other people, or just how exceptional that he is as a sophomore, because he's created such a distance from other players potentially on our team and even within the league. But we do have a number of very talented players that were very critical to our postseason success. We had players that bought in and gave up of themselves in order to come off the bench and yet still fulfill major roles where we could not lose a beat when we made substitutions. And I think those players could be really primed to step forward, such as Michael Ojo, who essentially played starters minutes, and his lone start this last year, I believe, had 22 points, was really more than capable of stepping into that role. Some other players that can also do that, younger players such as Gabe Knutson, who had 31 in a conference game on the road in league play. Who's a very talented young player that is almost overshadowed because of CJ's growth and his tremendous talent as well. We'd be talking pretty seriously about him as far as what he can contribute for us as we move forward. So there's a lot of exciting pieces, not only returning players, but also freshmen coming in that we feel good about.
What will be different for CJ this year, and what does he need to do to overcome defenses being even more focused on him?
I think CJ will naturally see a lot more defensive attention as we progress. People will identify him earlier, move towards him, and try to create situations where he doesn't get his first look. And he actually has to work on his second look, third look, and so on and so forth. I think there's two critical factors that really need to come into play for him as his continued growth into this year to help our team. Number one is his better utilization of our system to create easier opportunities for him. There's been times in the past where he was just talented enough to take his man individually. And we're going to continue to allow him to do that because he is good at it, but hopefully to use what we do to create easier opportunities for him in light of a screen and then getting his immediate advantage and taking and capitalizing upon that. I think the second thing that needs to ultimately happen is his playmaking ability to improve a little bit, because he has such a unique talent to score, but he was also a point guard at times throughout his career growing up. That playmaking ability where he can enhance the ability of other people and really fulfill the statement, great players make other players look better. I think he really has the opportunity to do that as well.
How difficult is it sometimes to get the other guys to not just stand around watching him and being amazed and to keep playing? I mean, you see that sometimes where it just seems like with any great player, people stopping and they're watching the other guy play. Is that a challenge for your guys?
I think it is to some degree, because it's very easy to rely on him and rely on him to make those type of plays. But everybody has a role and a piece to fill within the way we attack defenses and our offensive scheme. And we've been pretty intentional about making sure that we lay that as a foundation. So even if he is making a play, somebody has to get to another spot so they can be a recipient. Because not only do they need to watch him or see him, but the ball or his playmaking ability needs to see them so they can get to the open spots. And everybody has to be able to contribute. We have a number of players who are talented, and I think they have a great deal of confidence in their ability as well, where we don't necessarily want him to shoulder the entire burden, and they want to be able to step into it. But we have to have that blend and balance of unselfish basketball, faith in him and what he can do, but also faith in ourselves so we can fulfill our role as well.
Hey, thank you, Coach.